Yeah, good morning. Welcome back to Mark's Railway Trails, and probably wondering where we're heading out to this morning. Well, this morning we're still in sunny St Helens. I'll flip the camera around in a minute, and we're actually looking for Crank Station this morning. But where I am this morning, I've come on the higher level really. I'm on the mountain bike this morning, but I've parked the mountain bike up and locked it up to get to here, and I'm going to walk the rest of the way because you just see so much more really where I'm going to take you this morning. And looking directly in front of me, you'll see one of the old post boxes that's still here. And for people who know St Helens, when I flip the camera around, you'll have a rough idea where we are really. But we're following on this morning from Gerrard's Bridge in St Helens that we did the other week, which took the line out of St Helens over to Finch Moss Bank and then onto Crank, onto Rainford. I'll tell you more about that as we get going on the walk. But where we are this morning to start the walk is what they call Windle Estates. And the reason I've come up here rather than follow the streets like I did last week on Moss Bank, because there's not a lot to see really. So I've come up on the higher level, and I'll show you why when I get to where I want to get to, because I can actually show you where the line ran from on a higher level. So rather than just see walking through streets and things, so it'll be interesting to find it, you know. Morning, mate. All right, pal. And Sunday mornings again we're out. You get a lot of walkers around here. But yeah, this is Windle Estates that we're on now. Lovely part of the town really. And a lot of history around here as well. Right load of history. Morning. So it's good to get it on video really. But what I'm going to show you now, I'll tell you a little bit about Windleshaw Estates. This is where we're on now, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that as we start walking it down now. But the reason I've come this way, there's so much history on this part of town really. And where I'm going to take you now, if you look directly over there, and you see the building in the right at the end where you can see people fixing the tombstones and the graves. And I'll take you in and show you. This is what they call the chantry in St Helens, and this building that I'm going to show you now is it is the oldest building in St Helens. Morning. I hope you don't mind the videoing as I'm going past, but just got to show you this building as I'm going through. And they do a lot of work, these people looking after the old graves, and that's cracking work what they do. Nice to see. Morning everybody.
Hi, mate. Hi, mate.
Ladies and gents, you don't mind me videoing, do you?
No.
I'll just flip my camera around. What these guys do, and these ladies,
We're not squashed.
all the old graves that's been buried and headstones, they
I've seen it like that before.
rescue them and bring them all back to the surface, and they're always there. It's good to see, really good to see. I'm not embarrassed keeping the camera on, but they're always there if you come. They do a lot of work, and they look after this part of the cemetery, which is the oldest part of the cemetery in St Helens Cram. And I apologise everybody for walking over you. Whoever you are, I do apologise. But yeah, I think they call it the chantry. Get a better shot back here. There it is. And that's the oldest structure in St Helens. And it's, excuse me, sorry for walking on you. Just show you. If I remember serves them right, there is a plaque inside, and Yeah, Windleshaw chantry, oldest structure in St Helens, built by Sir Thomas Gerard following his return from a battle in Ancoats in around 1415, and it was built in 1435. So how old's this? And so nice to see it's still there. I'll go in and show you. There you go, I'll leave it on the plaque and then you can hopefully read it. And I'll not read it out, but have a look at it, you know. But that is the oldest structure in St Helens. Excuse everybody for walking over your graves, which I don't like doing. I'm always superstitious on that, but I don't mean any harm. And there's the people, like I say, finding the old graves that's been overgrown. They dig them, resurface the headstones, and that's how they lay them flat, so people can still see the dates. But what an old building! What an old building! But yeah, Sir Thomas Gerard built this, and this is what is known as Windleshaw Estates. But I couldn't walk past without videoing that and showing you. And like I say, especially these guys and dolls that do so much hard work, and it's nice to see. See you later. They really do, they're always here. Every time I've come for a walk, they're always here. And in this cemetery, the people of St Helens will know. And I'm going to show you his grave, and I'm not being disrespectful, but there he is. There's a guy called John Smith, and if you live in St Helens, you would have bumped into this character many times. His real name was John Smith, but everybody in St Helens called him Johnny Welly, and that's why he's got the two Wellingtons at the side. And they all got him clubbed together. There was a fund and got him a headstone, because he spent a lot of time here in this chantry speaking to the people over there, because his mum and dad are buried in this cemetery, so he was always here. And I bumped into quite a few times in the cemetery. So Johnny Welly, morning. Hope you're okay, mate. Sorry to not see you around St Helens anymore, but what a legend, and glad I met you. So Johnny Welly and the chantry carry on the trail. Bye, love. They're friendly people. I couldn't walk past and not video that. There it is, come and find it. It's a lovely walk, and like I say, that's the oldest structure in St Helens. And we're on the Windleshaw estate, and we are getting to a railway trail. I bet you're all thinking this is a graveyard walk. It's not. It is on the trail to Crank, to find, hopefully, Crank Station. And like all these stations, you know, you're following old maps, trying to match it up with Google Earth, and you get a rough idea where they are, but everything changes around them so much. But Windleshaw Estate was built in 1782, if my dates are correct, and it was leased to a William Pilkington, and that name in St Helens, you'll know what Pilkington's is. It's renowned worldwide. The Pilkington's glass. Old lodge still here. Originally there would have been gates here to the lodge. When you came on, you wouldn't be able to walk down here. This was Windleshaw Estates, and yeah, William Pilkington, and it was his sons who founded the glassmakers Pilkingtons. And the Pilkington family actually lived on Windleshaw estate until the death of Lady Mavis Pilkington in 1998, and after she had passed away, that was the end of the Pilkington family living on the Windleshaw estate. So there you go, that's how Pilkington's glass came about, because of that. And renowned in St Helens, probably one of the biggest employers in St Helens. And that's who my dad left the railways for when steam got decommissioned and they all got asked to go on the diesels, and virtually all of them told him no way, and they all left the railways after many years service. So that's when my dad came to St Helens, and the rest is history. He went as a head foreman at Cowley Hill Works, and he used to walk it to work every day from Eccleston in St Helens all the way down to Cowley Hill. So a bit of a walk, and I remember him getting up doing it. He was on a 6-2, and they did funny shifts as well. So, but this is it, Windleshaw Estates. And like I said, when Lady Mavis Pilkington died in 1998, nobody was on this estate anymore from the Pilkington family. I'll just show you here, because this just leads on to onto the cemetery. This is what's biggest cemetery I think in St Helens is St Helens Crematorium. There you go. And originally all this was fenced off and locked, but it's still got the little gate here. And there you go. See, opening hours for gate access 9 till 4. Would have all been shut off this at one time and locked, because you wasn't supposed to be around here. If you go that way, that leads you round into the cemetery, or edge you towards the motorway. But this is the top end of the St Helens Crem, and rumour has it, if you were wealthy, you were buried at the top end of the cemetery, because there's a church at the top end here. And I've done that on my Facebook, that walk showing it. And that was a rumour, if you're wealthy you were buried at the top end. Whether that's true, I couldn't possibly tell you, but there you go, that's would have all been shut off at one time. And you wouldn't have been able to get down here on Windleshaw Estates. But where we're heading now is over the motorway, the East Lancs Road. And this took you out to Windleshaw Estates, and the reason I wanted to come down this way, because the view that you get from the other end following the railway lines is actually unbelievable. I'll just show you on the tops. There you go, that's the East Lancs that we're on now, and if you look down that direction now, that will actually take you to Manchester, and right down there, heading over to Manchester. If you flick it round the other way, and I know I keep going on about these, but you'll see these all the time. It's good to talk to us, the Samaritans. And again, whenever I do these walks, we come across these places, and again, this is one of the hot spots, unfortunately, for suicides, and that's why the plaque's there on the bridge there. It's been shut quite a few times, this, with suicides, people, unfortunately. So God bless you, whoever you are, who's actually done it here, and so sad to see. Let the cyclists go back. Morning. Couldn't get a passenger on the back, could you? There you go. What a lovely cycle route though. But I find more on foot really when I'm doing these. I know it takes longer, but you kind of see more really. But yeah, we're leaving Windleshaw Estates and the chantry, and Johnny Welly, God bless you. But what an area! It's, you know, I get lost for words sometimes when I do some of these walks. So some of the areas you do, you don't realise what's on your doorstep. You really don't. And yeah, Windleshaw Estates we're leaving, and the actual bridge was built by King George, and it was started in 1932, and it was opened on July 1934. King George, opened it. I don't know who built it, but he opened it in 1934. That's not the bridge you're seeing now. This is where the old bridge was. The new bridge was built in 1965 and finished in 1966. So unbelievable. And where we've been today on the chantry, that's got the oldest structure in building in St Helens on record. If you go to Windle Island, where Costa Coffee is now, and Tesco, Windleshaw Island I think they call it, there's actually a stone there that gives you the miles to St Helens and into Windle. And again, that's one of the oldest dated stones, which was made out of stone, what they used to build the chantry. So if you're ever going past Windle Island, have a look, you'll see it. It's on one of the corners and it gives you the miles to wherever you're going. So that's the history of Windleshaw Estates. Windleshaw Estates was built in 1782, like I said, and it was leased to William Pilkington. Well, this is where we're heading now. This is why I've come up on the high ground really, to show you this, because you don't get the view on the other side. And if you're wondering where we are now, if you look right over there, and when you get to the traffic lights, that is Windle Island. So it just gives you an idea where we are. But this will take us into Crank. And if you can just see where the lady's walking now, down here, there's a cut through. We've done this walk. You'll see the lady walking down there. She'll go all along here, and it's a walk through that brings you onto the road that leads you up into Crank, hopefully, if my maps are right. There you go, you can just see her cutting through there now. But I could have done this on the mountain bike really a lot quicker, but I just think you see things. I'd have been whizzing along here on my mountain bike, and you know, you can get your camera on there. I've got a fitting on my bike that you can actually fit your camera on the front, but you just don't get the view that you get doing it by hand. But what open space this is, you know. And what you're seeing right in front of you obviously is Crank, and further on is Rainford. And we'll be doing Rainford on a separate block. Now at one time you could drive down here in your car, but I think they've blocked it off now. And hopefully you can still walk down here, because every so often they always get told off for trespassing on, you know, land and stuff. But I'm sure this is a public walkway, so I don't think they can argue that today. But there you go, Windle Hall. There you go, Windle Hall. And that's where Lady Pilkington lived until 1998, when she passed away. But yeah, they put a barrier in now, which is good. It just stops all the cars cutting across, because they used to use it as a cut-off to get into Crank really. So it's a good idea really. But there you go. electric barrier, because obviously farmers must still use it. But I wanted to walk this rather than cycle it, because I've just been whizzing down here on my mountain bike. But just look, you don't realise what's on your doorstep, you really don't. And I've done all around here on my mountain bike, and it's a cracking ride on your bike. And I tell you what, if you ever want to get your fitness up, get your bike round here, because there's some cracking hills. It really gets your fitness up. If you see this guy coming up now on his bike, that gradient coming up here, you think you're fit. You think you might do a lot of walking. As I said to Tony Redmond the other week when I got my bike out of winter, you think you're fit, you get on your bike, but you've not got your cycling legs fit. It's weird. You use different muscles cycling than you do walking. So all credit to this guy, he's putting it in the morning, and he'll feel it when he gets to the top of there, because I've done it. I just get a video. There he goes. See, he's getting off his saddle now, because that's the bit that will get you. But some of these bikes now, you know, you wonder why you pay a lot of money. And if you ever go and buy a mountain bike, the first thing you look at is the weight. That's what you're paying for. And you can get them dead cheap, made of steel. You take them out, try and go up an hill on a steel bike, and if you're not fit, you'll realise why they're so cheap. And there's that lady, she's beat us to it. She took the shortcut. And a lot use this as walking. I've done it with Steve, right, all around here. And if you look across there now, you'll see, I'll just zoom my camera in. You'll see all the air shafts, can you see them? And they're all around the fields, really. You'll see a lot of them. You just see them in the corner there, yeah. And you see a lot of them around here. Morning. And there's a lot of pits around here. So that's just letting the air in, where probably some of the shafts are still here, you know. But that's where the ladies come over the tops there. That's what me and Steve normally cut through. But I want to get the higher level really to show you. And I'm just going to flick across here now. Probably should have done it higher up, but I can still show you the line. Well, we've come now, if you follow the trees over the tops, and we've come over the tops there, and I'll flip my camera up here. If you look directly over there now, I'll zoom my camera in a bit more, and if you follow the trees along there, follow it round, and then just as you get round the bend, I'll flip my camera right up and then you can see it. If you look right as they go round the bend, down that run is where the line would have come over from Gerrard's Bridge to pick up Crank Station, and that's where we're heading over there now. So if you follow the trees there, follow them round, and just as it goes left on the bend, if you follow that all the way up, that's where the line would have come in from Crank to Crank Station. And you can just see how the trees run. That's what have picked up Crank Station, and that's what we're obviously looking for this morning. And hopefully the directions are right. There you go, another person taking the shortcut to Windleshaw Estates. What a lovely walk this morning, and it's great on Sunday mornings. Seem to be the mornings for me lately on these walks, and especially after Friday night, too many beers with a tour band. It's nice to get out like I said, I've done it on foot this morning because you miss half the stuff when you're on your mountain bike. There's another cyclist going past. So if you ever want to walk through here, this takes you into Crank. Just have a look for the barrier no through, but you can get through because it's a public walkway, so probably the farmers have put that up. But as you can see, that sign, it's a public walkway, can't stop you, but they've stopped the traffic going up there now because everybody used to take a shortcut. And what I'll do, hopefully we'll find Crank Station. I'll tell you more about Crank Station as well, because a hell of a lot of history with this station. Like there is with all the stations really. But it was a dead important station this at the time. Really important. I've probably got a bit of a walk now, but I'm going to keep it running. I know it gets a bit monotonous from boring. Especially when you listen to me ramble all the time. Well, I'm going to keep it running, but I'm glad I've walked it. Glad I've walked it. Like I say, me and Steve Wright have walked all around here, and especially just when COVID hit really, to get out, we used to just come out walking, find different places, you know, and as I've said to many people, and I always say on the tour, until you walk through a new door, you never know what you're going to find. You don't, you know. And we've done it so many times on a Friday, you know, on the tour. We just hit a new town and we ain't got a clue where we're going. And our motto on the tour, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there, and that's what's on our tour t-shirts. And we didn't think of that. It's one of my all-time favourite guitarists, and you're wondering who it is, aren't you? Can only be one, George Harrison, most underrated person in the Beatles, which his solo career highlighted later on. So that's our motto. Remember it. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. And if you want this, listen to the music, get it on YouTube. George Harrison. Morning. You'll see a load of cyclists this morning. Renowned for it round here, and that guy's just gone past on a specialised bike similar to mine. And like I say, when you're buying mountain bikes, you're paying the money for the weight. Morning. Like I say, you get a bit monotonous coming down here now, but it'll show you where the route is, and if you ever want to find it, another specialised. A lot of these you'll see private, unauthorised people beyond this point, because you get a lot of people that will just walk across private land like me, going on if there wasn't up, you know, trying to find where you want to find. And you get it a lot round Rainford. They don't like you. You can understand, if it's not a walkway, you shouldn't be on it really. But there's another way you could have come out. But that just shows you get a better picture out of the trees. That's another way you can walk it. Now, if you're wondering where that leads to, if you walk that, and you've got to be careful on this bend because it's renowned for flying around here. And when you're stuck with the camera, you see them all slow down. But again, this is another public walkway, private property. That's just on there. But if you go up there, that'll bring you out virtually on Mossbank Hill. It's a cut through, and we've done that. And if you go down there and end up on Mossbank Hill, you'll see some of the old railway houses that were used for the railways. But really haven't got time to walk that part today because that's not what we're trying to find today. We're on the search for Crank Station. Nice little bridge coming up here. And when I see bridges like this, first thing I always look for is the date on it. You know, there's always, majority of bridges that were built, the stonemasons always put a date on them somewhere. And it's just something I came across really when I started doing these walks. I noticed there's always a date on them. You know, which is a nice touch really. But what a gorgeous day. Like I said, Sundays, I've never really had a bad day for the last few months on these trails. And saying that, you watch it, will probably piss it down. There you go, there must be a date or something. Oh, there you go. Just letting you know. Windle to. There you go, there's a date. There's always a date. You can just see it. You gotta be careful here because they fly around, but I'll just hold it there and you can see it, and it's telling you. Looks like Dagnall's Bridge, I would say. I'm trying to zoom in on it. Got a car coming, so I have to be careful on the brook. Let it go. And steelworks, there you go. On the steelworks well, Ormskirk, 1842. So that's the steelworks, 1842. I'm trying to look because it's faded, but I'll let you decide what year you think that is. That looks to me like a 12. I might be wrong. It's hard to tell, but I'll have a look on the camera and zoom in on it and take a snap. But that's just telling you on the way to Rainford. And this does take you to Rainford, but what we're finding today is Crank Station, and I'll show you a bit better shot now where the railway came in. And if you just look where there's a gap in between the trees, behind them trees, that's where the line would have come into Crank from Gerrard's Bridge. And this is the reason I wanted to come this way, because you wouldn't get them shots the other way. You know, just shows you the line, how it came in. Morning.
Morning.
So it just shows you where the line came in, and gives you an idea where we are if you're walking it. Grey House Farm. But yeah, Windleshaw Estates, you know, a lot of people don't realise that's there really. But if you ever go to the, I think they call it the chantry, you'll always see them guys and ladies rescuing graves and restoring. So it's nice to catch them as well. And nice to see Johnny Welly's grave, God bless him. And I'll tell you about the history of Johnny Welly. I know it off the top of my head. For those who don't live in St Helens, you'll be wondering who Johnny Welly is. Obviously you know why he got his name. But Johnny Welly, everybody thought he was a tramp, homeless guy living on the streets. And he was always around St Helens, everywhere. In the town centre a lot. If you went to the cemetery, he'd be up there. He walked for miles and miles and used the railway station, not the railway station, the buses everywhere with his free pass. And there's a lot of rumours going round about Johnny Welly, that he was a millionaire, and he lived in his own house, and everybody will tell you, everybody's got their own Johnny Welly stories. But Johnny Welly, he dressed like a tramp, and looking at him you think he was an homeless guy, and everybody knew him in St Helens. Another cyclist going through, everybody knew him in St Helens. But he actually lived in a care home, and the reason I know that's 100% true is my best mate's wife runs for the council a lot of the accommodations, and she knew Johnny Welly from the care home, so he had somewhere to go to. He lived in the care home, but he was always out on the streets all the time, so everybody thought he was homeless, and everybody that seen him used to always bang him a few quid, you know. And I bumped into him quite a few times, and I met him once at the cemetery. Classic tale really. I was visiting my mum's grave at the cemetery, which I do quite regularly really, to be honest with you. I've always done it. And he was there, Johnny Welly, and it started bucketing it down, and he was walking out the cemetery, and I felt so sorry for him. I thought, bloody hell, look at this. And I stopped and picked him up. I said, where are you going to, Johnny? He said, I'm going into the town centre for a brew, he said. I said, jump in, I'll drop you off. And I did. I gave him a lift to St Helens town centre, and when he got out, I'll never forget, I had a big stain on my seat where he must have wet himself, and it cost me 40 quid get my car valeted, and I'll never forget that. I'll not pick Johnny Welly up again. Just pity he wasn't in Diane's car really, but I'm not that lucky. And if you're watching this, Diane, I'm only joking. Well, that's one of my tales of Johnny Welly. And the other one, if there's any music going about locally, many a time he'll turn up, because he was a celebrity. Everybody loved him, and he'd get up dancing. And now I always say, never judge your book by its cover, because if you got talking to Johnny Welly, not just, you know, having a laugh at him and joke with him, he was quite a mind of information about St Helens. If you ever wanted to know where somewhere was, or how to get to it, or what was there before, ask Johnny Welly, because I asked him many a times about places. And again, never judge a book by your cover. So rest in peace, Johnny, and sadly missed around St Helens. But where we are now, we should, I'll just get my map out. You got to watch this corner because they fly around here in the cars, and I'm going to go over here now, because my map serves me right. If you ever walk in these railways, I'll show you. I'm not going to go on here, but you see how the trees run? You take it from here, and you see a line of trees, they kind of bend round, and then that heads up right up to there. It's always a giveaway for railway lines, because they always had trees and then the line in the middle, and that's a giveaway. So according to my map, we're not far off Crank Station here, and I can't go over the farmers' fields. These are all, you don't want you walking on. There's signs everywhere, as you can see here. Trespassers will be, and I understand that. So and just look how it veers round, and this is definitely, we're definitely on the right road to Crank Station, definitely. Now, according to my maps, and I can't go in here because it's private residence, and I'm going to get off the road here because they fly around here. But if you look in here now, and I'll try and show you a bit more with my camera, this is where the line would have come round, just here on this corner. And I've got to be careful because it's private houses on here, and they don't like your videoing, which you can understand, but I might get a better shot there. But according to my maps, that's where it runs round to here, and it does. This is, we're on to Crank Station. We're on to Crank Station. and I can't go in there, no access. It might be able to have a walk up, no parking. Private landlord security guys on patrol. I ain't gonna go across, but just in there you'll see it. Maybe get a bit of a video on here. It's gonna be cheeky. Yeah. So I've got to be careful. And park up there. This was Crank Station, and if you can just see over there now, that's where the line would have run down. We've got to be quiet because I'm not supposed to be on here. It's Sunday's space, so but that's where the line would have run down, and it would have gone all along there. And I'll take you around because Crank Station was right on the end. I'm keeping my voice down because I'm not supposed to be up here. But it's nice to get that shot. As you can see, look. Just glad the security dogs wasn't on patrol. I'm just going to keep it going as we walk around, really. And I'll tell you a little bit more about Crank Station as we get a little bit nearer. And if my map serves me right, as you get on the bend you should be picking it up, really. Yeah, just here. Just here. And you see where the gate is there in the corner? That's where the line would have run to. Bloody hell, here it is. This is it. How brilliant. How brilliant. I'm going to get a video out, I hope they don't mind. But there you go. That is Crank Station. I don't know what they've done with that. Fantastic. You've actually put a sign up to show you that that was Crank Station. There it is. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely. And you see the dip, how it dips down there now, runs along to the trees. There you go. Crank Station. Unbelievable. And I made up what they've done with that. And if you come down here you'll whiz past that and not see it. And you can just see it there. Crank Station. Absolutely brilliant. Brilliant. And that would have ran in this direction. And again, you can't walk it. But this is where the line would have ran. You see where the trees are? As I've said to you many times, trees are a giveaway for railway lines. I could probably walk that, but I ain't going to walk it this morning because it's saying don't. And especially after last week, I want a quiet week. But you could probably walk that, but the trees are a giveaway. There's Crank Station, and you can still see some of the old. It was a wooden platform, that was it. A wooden platform that was on Crank Station, and it was built by local wood merchants for Cranks who did Crank Station. And here there would have been a level crossing just here on the bend, just round about here on my maps when I was looking last night. There was a level crossing that took you over in that direction to Rainford. How brilliant's that? When you find something that you're not expecting, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't know that was there. I knew roughly where the station was on my maps, but I didn't know that was there, and how overgrown it is now. But if you see down there, that's where the line would have ran into Rainford, but nature, willow trees and everything just takes over. I'll see if I can get another picture of Crank Station. And just show you how it's run. I'm going to go back and get another shot, but there it is. There, look at that, unbelievable. That was the platform, a Crank Station. You can just see the brickwork still there, and people must get sick of us railway enthusiasts coming down. But there's the platform to Crank Station. How brilliant is that? Absolutely brilliant. So I'm going to get another shot before I walk up here. When you're not expecting something and you find it, makes these walks so much worthwhile. And I'm going to keep this running and take you right up to the top, and we'll do a shot at the top. But I've got to get another shot at Crank Station and get it in. But there you go, everybody. That is Crank Station. Unbelievable, and well done to whoever bought this property for keeping it alive in its memory. And I guarantee you there must be some of the old signals that were taken down they've used. You know what, if my dad was walking this, and I always say it, woo, he'd love this. And you know what, I say it all the time, he is with me, I know he is. And I'll give you some dates on Crank Station as well as we get a bit further up the hill. But yeah, my dad would have been chuffed with that. And the connection with Crank Station to my dad was LMS, his favourite railway company. Well, there you go. See you later, Crank Station. And I'll tell you all about all the trains that went through it when we get to the top of the hill. Unbelievable, so nice to see. I'm going to walk it up here and go right to the top, and this is the reason I wanted to do this as well, because we're going to go right to the top, right up there. And I know a lot of people get on the line and you walk it down there, and that's the way Crank Station ran. But again, they don't want everybody walking through a lot of these places now, which you can understand, but sometimes you've got to do it to capture it, because you never know in years to come. Whoever buys that house might not want Crank Station, just fill it in, it's gone forever. But yeah, a bit of a moment there, so nice to see. But the hill that we're coming up now, I'll tell you, when you're a cyclist, I'll tell you a tale about this hill. It's a killer on your bike, and I mean a killer. You're blowing like anything when you get to the top of this. You really are blowing. I'm going to show you near as well, and to the lodge, as they call it. And again, this all backs up to Windleshaw Estates, private car park, the lodge. Private drive, I'm not going to go up it, but if you look here, I'm going to show you this. I'm not going to go up there because it's a private drive to cottages only, so it's where somebody lives. I know somebody lives there at the lodge, but I'm going to show it you anyway. I'm going to walk it. You get told off, don't you? There you go, the lodge. And I tell you what, that's definitely with the railway lodge. You can tell with the chimney stacks and the brickwork and the windows, definitely. I'm going to go up here. You cannot miss opportunities like this. That's definitely for the railways, that. And you can see why it was so close to Crank Station. The old gas lamps that's been turned into electric. Now anybody's wondering where this is, where it leads to, there's a private hospital called Fairfield Hospital on the left here. For all those of you that's in private healthcare in St Helens, this is the #1 hospital that you probably end up in outside of Warrington. I'm not going to go right up, but again, do you see shafts? They're all around here. I'm going to go just up a bit There's the cottages. I'm not going to write up because I want to get to the top of the hill. Just over there, take a shortcut here. I've just seen something on here that from days gone by. There you go. One of the old bins, probably from the 60s, 50s, 60s, and bin men, the fit men. But that takes you up to Fairfield Hospital. You just go left there, and it also takes you onto another estate at the top. I'm going to walk it out of here now. But just look at that building there. You can just see it, definitely a railway building. Again, another little treasure that you've come across, you don't expect to see. But what I find on Crank Station, that the platform's still there, you know, the signals are still there. Is that the original Crank Station sign? Maybe not, couldn't tell you. But well done to the owners for keeping it alive, because that is definitely, you know, a good part of history there. And so nice to see, and I wasn't expecting that. And you know what, how many times have I drove past that? Hundreds, maybe more, because it's something you wouldn't see on a bend. There you go, and that's Rainford Hall and Fairfield Gardens, cottages. That's where the hospital is. But I'm going to take you and finish off on the blog. And like I say now, you can see the line. Trees are a giveaway for railway lines, and that just shows you that's running all the way along there. You hit the gap. Level crossings would have been there. Crank Station that led on to Gerrard's Bridge that we did the other week. But if you ever want to find a railway line and you look at the maps, there's always trees along them. Always is. And always a giveaway. But this hill, if you're on your cyclist coming up here, it's a killer, I tell you. You can feel your legs walking it now, but you imagine going up here on your bike, it is a killer. And I've got a tale about this as well, me and the cycle guys. We go out about twice a year and I call it the annual Southport Run. Just look at these guys coming down now. Bet they're glad they're coming down it, not going up it. They fly around that corner, and I tell you what, the amount of people that's come off bikes at the bottom of there is unbelievable. They probably end up in here, Fairfield Hospital. They fly down here. But yeah, I was with the cycle guys, and we came this way through Rainford and was heading to Southport on our bikes. And I remember getting about halfway up here on my bike, and I'll be honest with you, I hadn't done a lot of training for that Southport bike ride. And I got about here, I never forget there, which is Fairfield Hospital's entrance, and I was blowing like anything. And next thing, there's a guy passed me on a bike, and I'm not word of a lie, he must have been 80, 85. I thought, bloody hell, look at him, he's pedalling like anything. And when I got to the top, blowing, knackered. Because it isn't early, feel it now, I'm feeling it a little bit now because I've walked, you know, been out over probably about an hour and a half now on foot. And you can feel it on your legs now. But when I got to the top of this hill, he was waiting at the top. And I said to him, bloody hell mate, you're fit. And he said, you know what mate, can't beat these electric bikes. And it's an electric bike and he couldn't tell. He modified it so he couldn't tell. And he was pedalling, which you can still pedal on electric bikes. And it looked like he was pedalling, but it wasn't his electric bike. So what a crafty get. But that's a money shot. There you go, look at that. Look at that. Unbelievable. There you go, Crank Station. Running all the way along into Rainford, which is our next call on another day, on another blog. But you could walk that line I'm just looking at it now. You know, if you had more time, I'd walk that line along the side of it. And as you can see, there's little fences all the way along, and then it cuts off, and you can see where it runs into Rainford. I would say it does a left at the end of them trees, according to my maps. And that took you into Rainford. Well, I'll tell you all the history when I get to the top, because like I always do on these, I start rambling. But yeah, that guy, bloody electric bike. It was so funny. Me and the lads were patting on his back, you know. And he said if he'd had more time, he'd have joined us to Southport, you know. But it just shows you think you're fit walking, and then you get on the bike, it's just totally different, as I found out, and I think Tony Redmond's found out as well. But when I get to the top here, I'm going to stop, have a drink. I have this guy cyclist now coming. Tell you what, I bet you're glad you're going down, not coming up. He's probably said, I'm not going to say what he's going to say. Well, he thought smart ass. Anyway, when I get to the top here, I'm going to stop, have a drink. Whew. Well, there you go. I'm gonna hopefully sort my camera out where I can just park it up and get a drink. Woo! But what a view! And so what you're looking over there now, that takes you up to Rainford. And if you're wondering what probably that factory is over there, memory serves me right, it's Carborundum factory. But cheers everybody. Cheers for finding Crank Station. But what a view, what a view. And I'll tell you a bit about the history now of Crank Station. I'm so glad we could find that. It was unbelievable that we did. But I'll take you from where we came from last week was Gerrard's Bridge, and I walked that last week, and it went on to Mossbank. We found Mossbank, and then it kind of cut off to come over into Rainford to Crank. And what I did, I took the high ground this morning, because all you see is streets and things, so this is much more pleasant. Yeah, Mossbank, and then you hit Crank Station, and then from Crank Station then you're heading where them trees are heading now, which is always a giveaway, which will take you into Old Mill Lane, the Rookery, Rainford Village, Rainford Junction, Ormskirk, which had a St Helens platform on, and White Moss, Crossing Holt, and then the leads on to Skam, all the way to Skam from Rainford, and that was a line. Crank Station, give you the dates now, we're having a breather. But yeah, Crank Station opened in 1858. It got renamed in 1940 Crank Holt. It actually closed to passengers in 1951 to passengers. But the line stayed open until 64 for goods services, and I did a few excursions like day trips and old steam trains going down it, and that stayed open until 1964. And such a busy station in its day. 1923, and this is where the history comes with my dad. LMS took over the line, and the trains that run it from London North West Railways. That was 1923, LMS took it. 1940, Crank Station became unstaffed. There was no staff on the station, mainly because the traffic levels declined. And when it was due to close in 1951, there's massive protests about closing Crank Station. That's the history. That's why I wanted to find it, because it was a local station for Crank, and it took people out of here onto Rainford and St Helens, not far away. But there was a massive protest, but it's still closed in 1951, and then finally the line went up with goods in 1964. There's quite a lot of trains ran on that. There was 8 trains on the line going backwards and forwards, so it tells you how busy it was. Where we are now, at the top of Crank Hill, as you can see, that's Crank Hill, and what a drop, and that leads on. If you go around the bend and take it to the end, turn left. There's a lovely little pub up there called the Red Cat, with nice balconies. You can look all over this. We're not going there this morning that way, and that leads all the way down into Rainford. But yeah, we've done Crank Hall and Fairfield Hospital that you've seen on the left. Well, like I say, I had to start it really at Windleshaw farm because there's so much history there really. But what a find today, finding Crank Station, and well done to them owners for keeping it alive. So thanks for joining Mark's Railway Trails again. A bit of a long one this morning. I hope it's not too boring for you. I've got to walk it all the way back now, and I'll just show you a shot here that I think for all those who live in St Helens. I'll test my zoom on my camera. Really much on it. I can zoom right in because this camera zoom is unbelievable. I can keep the camera steady enough now. If you look there, right over there, everybody in St Helens, I know what that building is, and I'll leave you with that one. But the views out here are unbelievable. Unbelievable. There we go. Hit it back. So I'll see you soon on Mark's Railway Trails. I'm going to walk it back now. I'm going to finish my drink on Crank Hill. Go and have another look at Crank Station for old time's sake. But LMS, and nice to see. I'll see you soon on the trail. And next time we'll be picking that line up from over there, and I'm going to take you into Rainford, and I'll show you a nice station in Rainford that joins the Junction pub, and we're going to go and see my mate Paul on that one, my music buddy who owns the Junction in Rainford. Ever get a chance, go down for cracking food, cracking live music, and if you want to learn the ukulele, there's a ukulele group there twice a week, cracking people. Go down and visit them. Like I say, see you soon on Mark's Railway Trails. As I said on the tour, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. See you soon, and see you soon, Crank Station.